Have you ever heard of the ESI Act but never really know what it covers? Or maybe you thought labor laws was just about wages and working hours? Well, you are missing out on a massive part of what protects India's workforce. And that includes you if you are entering HR, law, or corporate work. In this video, we are breaking down the basics of Indian labor law and giving you a simple, student-friendly content on the ESI Act, one of the most important social security laws in India. We'll also cover two important sections from the Act that you should never forget as a law student or intern. And wait for it. At the end, I'm sharing 10 powerful facts about the ESI that most people don't know, including things that can literally change how you understand employment law. This is your one-stop beginner guide to labor law plus ESI. Let's begin. What is labor law? Labor law in India refers to the body of laws that regulate the relationship between employers and employees. It ensures that workers are treated fairly and employers follow minimum standards of safety, payment, and dignity at the workplace. Labor laws is also called employment law or industrial law depending on the context. In India, labor laws is a concurrent subject under the Constitution, meaning both the central and state governments can make laws on it. The objective is to balance the power between employees and employers and ensure economic and social justice at work. Let's break it down into the 5 core areas of Indian labor law, each having key laws and protections. First, wages. Labor law ensures timely and fair payment of wages. Minimum Wages Act 1948 ensures every worker gets at least the minimum pay fixed by the government. Payment of Wages Act 1936 protects against delay and unauthorized deductions from wages. Equal Remuneration Act 1976 guarantees equal pay for equal work regardless of gender. Code on Wages 2019 yet to be fully enforced. Merges all these laws under one code. Working conditions. Laws that ensure safe and humane working conditions. So what are they? First, Factories Act 1948 applies to manufacturing units, governs hours of work, health, safety and welfare. Sections 11 to 20 covers cleanliness, ventilation, lighting, drinking water and sanitation. Sections 51 to 66 deals with workly hours, overtime, rest days and working hours of women. Shops and Establishments Act state-wise laws apply to non-factory workplaces like offices, shops, etc. Next, Social Security. Protection against sickness, maternity, injury, disability, and old age. What are the acts that come under this? Employees State Insurance Act 1948 offers medical care, maternity, and disablement benefits. Employment Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952 covers retirement benefits through savings and pension. Maternity Benefit Act 1961, paid leave and protection for pregnant women employees. Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, lump sum benefit for employees who complete 5+ years of service. And Social Security Code 2020, a new code combining all these laws into one modern framework. Next, Trade Unions and Industrial Relations. Governs the formation of unions and resolution of industrial disputes. It includes Trade Unions Act 1926, legal recognition, registration and rights of trade disputes. Industrial Disputes Act 1947 deals with strikes, lockouts, retrenchment, layoffs and mechanisms like conciliation and tribunals. Section 2K defines industrial dispute. Section 25F talks about retrenchment compensation. And Industrial Relations Code 2020, a new framework combining the above laws, notified but not yet enforced. Next, grievance redressal. Mechanism to address employee complaints and workplace injustice. The acts include Factories Act. Section 49 mandates a welfare officer in large factories. Standing Orders Act 1946 requires employers to define and communicate rules of conduct clearly. Industrial Disputes Act Section 9C requires companies with 20+ workers to have a grievance redressal committee. And POSH Act 2013 Protection of women from sexual harassment at workplace requires every organization to have an internal committee to handle complaints. Indian labor law is undergoing major reform through the 4 new labor codes: Wage Code, Social Security Code, Industrial Relations Code, and Occupational Safety Code, which aim to simplify 29 plus existing laws into a unified structure. However, their full implementation is still pending as of 2025. Labor law in India is not just about protecting workers, it is also about creating an efficient, legally compliant, and fair environment for employment to thrive. The Employees State Insurance Act 1948, or simply the ESI Act, is one of the most important social security laws in India. It was enacted to ensure that workers are not left helpless during times of sickness, injury, or maternity. The law creates a system where employees working in certain establishments get medical and cash benefits when they really need support, especially during emergencies. So what is the main purpose of ESI Act? The main goal of this act is to provide health-related benefits to employees working in the organized sector. These benefits are not just medical. They can also include cash support during sickness, maternity, injury, disability, or even death due to work-related reasons. Let's say a worker in a private factory gets injured while operating a machine. The ESI system makes sure that they get free medical treatment and even wage compensation during the time they are recovering. So, who runs or where does the ESI Act apply? The ESI Act applies to non-seasonal factories employing 10 or more persons and other establishments like shops, hotels, cinemas, newspapers, establishments, and private medical or educational institutions, depending on state government notification. But not every employee is covered. Only those earning a monthly wage of rupees 21,000 or less, or 25,000 in case of disabled persons. This salary threshold can be changed by the central government. Also, it is important to know that the ESI Act does not apply to seasonal factories like sugar mills that operate only for few months in a year. Who runs the ESI system? The law is administered by the ESIC, Employees State Insurance Corporation, which is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Labour and Employment Government of India. The ESIC is responsible for managing the funds, running hospitals and dispensaries, providing benefits to the insured employees and checking compliance by employers. It operates with regional offices, sub-regional offices, dispensaries, and ESI hospitals across the country. Employees who are covered under this law get a unique ESI number and smart card that they can use at any ESI hospital anywhere in India. What are the contributions under ESI? The ESI system is contributory in nature, meaning both the employer and employee share the cost. As of 2024, the contribution rates are: employer's contribution is equal to 3.25% of employees' wages, employee's contribution is equal to 0.75% of their own wages. So, if an employee earns 20,000 rupees per month, the employer will contribute 650 rupees and the employee will contribute 150 rupees, making a total contribution of 800 per month towards ESI. The employee is responsible for deducting the employee's share from the salary and depositing the entire amount to ESIC every month. Why is this act important? ESI Act creates a safety net for workers who don't have private insurance or big savings. It makes sure that no worker or their family member is denied medical care or left without income just because of a health emergency. In a country like India, where a majority of workers fall in the low income or middle income group, the ESI Act is not just a law, it is a lifeline. Whether you are a law student, a future HR professional, or planning a career in labor compliance, understanding the ESI Act gives you a real-world tool to serve people and support legal systems inside companies. This is the foundation of social security law in India, and knowing it is step 1 in mastering labor law. Let's now break down 2 of the most important and exam relevant sections of the Employees State Insurance Act now. We'll cover section 2 clause 12 and section 46. If you understand these, you understand the core of who gets covered and what they receive under this law. So firstly, section 2 clause 12, definition of factory. This section defines what kind of workplace is considered a factory under the ESI Act, and this is very important because the entire applicability of the Act depends on it. Here is the definition in simple terms. Factory means any premises including its presence where 10 or more persons are employed or were employed on any day of the preceding 12 months and a manufacturing process is being carried on with or without the aid of power. Let's break this down. 10 or more employees. This includes people working directly in production or even support staff. Any day in the past 12 months. Even if the factory currently has fewer than 10 employees, if at any point in the past year it had 10 or more, the Act still applies. Manufacturing process. This includes any activity that results in making, altering, repairing, packaging or finishing of goods, with or without power. Even manual manufacturing activities are included. So if a small printing unit employs 11 people and makes packaging material manually, that is a factory under section 2 clause 12 and it must register under ESI. This definition is super important for law interns or compliance officers who need to identify whether a company falls under the ESI framework. Section 46, benefits provided. Now that we know who is covered, section 46 tells us what the insured employees actually get from the ESIC. This is where the social security promise of ESI Act becomes real. Section 46 lays down 6 key benefits, all aimed at protecting employees during different life situations. Sickness benefit. Employees who fall sick and cannot attend work are eligible to get a cash benefit, usually 70% of their wages, for a maximum of 91 days in a year, provided that they have contributed for at least 78 days in a contribution period. Maternity benefit. Women employees are entitled to paid maternity leave for 26 weeks. Can be extended in certain cases. This covers pre-delivery, delivery and post-natal care along with full medical attention at no cost. Disablement benefit. If an employee suffers a physical injury or disability while on duty, we have temporary disablement. They receive cash support until recovery, or permanent disablement. They receive monthly pension based on loss of earning capacity. Dependence benefit. If an employee dies due to employment injury, the dependent's spouse, children or parents receive a monthly pension. This ensures financial security for the family even after the breadwinner is gone. Funeral expenses. In case of the death of the insured person, the nominee or family is given a lump sum amount for funeral expenses. As of 2024, this is around 15,000 rupees, but it can change based on government notifications. And finally, medical care. This is available from day one of the employment, and it includes free treatment, surgery, specialist consultants, and hospitalization in ESI hospitals and dispensaries. Even family members of the insured person are covered. Section 46 shows that the ESI Act isn't just about compensation, it is a complete social insurance model that protects employees and their families through every stage of working life, from maternity to medical emergencies to even death. These two sections, section 2 clause 12 and 46, form the foundation of who qualifies and what they get under the ESI Act. Now, let's see 10 super useful but less known facts about ESI and labor law, especially useful for interns and HR or legal aspirants. First, ESI applies even to private schools and hospitals if salary and staff size match criteria. Yes, many people think ESI is only for factories and industrial units, but that's not true. If a private school, college, hospital, diagnostic center or clinic employs 10 or more employees and at least some of them earn rupees 25,000 or less per month, then ESI becomes applicable, provided the state government has notified these establishments under the Act. For example, in Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, private educational and medical institutions are covered. So if a private school has 12 non-teaching staff earning rupees 18,000 per month, the school must register for ESI and offer coverage. This is especially important for HR interns working in non-industrial sectors. Don't assume ESI doesn't apply just because it is not a factory. Contract employees are covered too if they work under a registered ESI employer. Another big myth is that contract workers are not eligible for ESI. That is false. If a company is ESI registered and hires contract labor through a contractor, then both the principal employer and the contractor are responsible for ensuring ESI compliance. The contractor must deduct and deposit contributions for those contract workers. If they fail, the principal worker can still be held liable. So even housekeeping staff, drivers or security guards working under a contract system are entitled to all ESI benefits if employed in a covered establishment. This is a common area of violation. So law students in labor compliance roles must be very alert here. This is one of the most underrated features of ESI. If an employee retires after completing 5 years of ESI covered service and was contributing regularly, they become eligible for continued medical care under a scheme called Extended Medical Benefit Scheme. The retiree has to pay a nominal annual contribution, around Rs 120 annually, and they can continue to access free medical care for life through ESI hospitals. Their spouse is also covered. This is a major social safety net, especially for low-income workers who may not have private health insurance post-retirement. Many people don't realize that ESIC runs a full parallel healthcare system including ESI dispensaries, full-service ESI hospitals, diagnostic labs, specialist clinics, and tie-ups with private hospitals for emergency care. These services are completely free for the insured person and their dependents. This means that even if a worker is earning 15,000 per month, they can get the same level of hospital care without spending a rupee. Surgeries, medicines, maternity care, all included. As of 2024, there are 150 plus ESI hospitals across India. So this isn't just insurance on paper. It is real physical access to healthcare. Women who are ESI covered and have contributed for at least 70 days in the last two contribution periods are entitled to paid maternity leave for up to 26 weeks. This includes leave before and after delivery, full wage replacement, not just half pay, and coverage for miscarriage or complications. This benefit is in addition to free medical care during and after pregnancy, including for the newborn child. Many private employees are unaware of this because HR departments don't communicate it clearly or don't help in filling maternity claims through ESIC. If a worker dies because of a work-related accident, their dependents, spouse, children, and sometimes even dependent parents are entitled to a monthly pension known as dependents' benefit. The amount is calculated as a percentage of the worker's wage and is distributed among dependents based on rules. This benefit continues for years and is often the only support system left for the family. Even if the employee was earning Rs 10,000 per month, their widow may receive a pension for life. HR and legal interns must learn how to process and claim this benefit in real workplace scenarios. Many employers think ESI rules are optional. They are not. Section 85 of the ESI Act clearly states that non-payment, delay or fraud in ESI contributions can lead to a fine of Rs 5,000 per default, up to 3 years of imprisonment in case of repeated violations or serious offences, and possible disqualification from government tenders. So, for legal interns working with companies or compliance teams, ESI is not something to ignore. The ESIC is empowered to raid offices, inspect records, and prosecute defaulting employers. This is a huge plus point of the ESI system. It follows the no-fault liability principle. If an employee is injured at work, they are not required to prove that the employer was at fault. All they need to show is that the injury occurred during the course of or arising out of employment. Whether it is the worker's mistake or an unforeseen accident, the employee is still entitled to disablement benefit, which can include wage compensation, free treatment, and long-term pension for permanent disability. This makes the process faster and more worker-friendly than going through civil court damages. ESIC card is valid pan-India, even if job changes city. Once an employee is registered under ESIC and gets their unique ESIC number, that number stays the same throughout their life. Even if they move from Chennai to Delhi or switch jobs within different companies covered under ESI, they don't need a new registration. They can continue using ESI hospitals across India and their medical records are linked to that number. This portability makes the system flexible, especially for blue-collar or transferable jobs. HR interns must know how to handle ESI transfers forms and continuity procedures during employee onboarding. The current wage ceiling for ESI eligibility is Rs 21,000 per month. However, here is an insider rule that many don't know. If an employee is earning Rs 20,000 today and gets a salary hike to 24,000 next month, they don't lose ESI coverage immediately. They continue to be covered until the end of the contribution period, that is 6 months window. This ensures smooth transitions and claim processing without confusion or gaps. This also means that benefits like maternity or sickness leave can still be claimed by such employees even after a raise. These 10 lesser known facts show that the ESI Act is not just a government formality. It is a powerful protection tool for workers and an essential area of knowledge for HR professionals, law students, interns, and compliance officers. Understanding these nuances is what turns legal theory into real-world impact. Now, let's look at how all this theory actually plays out in real jobs, internships, and legal work. The ESI Act is not just textbook content. It is something you will directly deal with in the workplace, especially if you are entering HR, labor law, compliance, or company law practice. First, drafting ESI compliance reports. As a legal intern or junior associate in a law firm, you might be asked to review a company's ESI compliance status. This means checking if they are registered, whether they are filing returns, if contributions are made on time, etc. You may help draft or proofread documents like ESI registration applications, monthly ESI return statements, notices and replies to ESI inspections, and compliance checklists for client audits. Understanding Section 2 Clause 12 and 46R and knowing the contribution structure will help you avoid costly legal errors. Verifying ESI eligibility during hiring. In HR internships or while working in a corporate HR team, you will often help with employee onboarding. Part of that job includes checking whether the new employee falls under ESI based on salary and designation, collecting ESI nomination forms, linking Aadhaar bank details and dependent information, and ensuring timely generation of temporary ESI number PIN and then permanent ID. If eligibility is missed during hiring, it can lead to ESIC penalties and even court cases later. Helping employees claim benefits. Many workers, especially in non-English speaking environments, don't even know what benefits they are entitled to. Your job as an intern or legal trainee could include filing out maternity, sickness, or disability claim forms, helping employees file hospital bills, tracking claim status on ESIC portal, and explaining their rights in their own language. This is where law meets real human impact. Helping someone get maternity leave or funeral expenses on time can change their life. Assisting HR with PF or ESI registration. In startups, NGOs, or smaller companies, the HR or legal team might need help from setting up ESI registration from scratch. You will be expected to know how to create an employer login on the ESIC portal, how to generate employer code, what documents are needed, PAN, license, employee details, etc., and how to generate challans and file returns monthly. Even if you're not in HR, this kind of experience looks great on a CV for corporate legal roles or law firms that do labor or employment law. So if you're planning a career in labor law practice, compliance consulting, in-house legal teams, HR policy roles, company secretariatship, or startup legal advisory, then ESI knowledge isn't optional. It is a core skill. Knowing it makes you job ready, not just exam ready. So guys, now you know what labor law is, how the ESI Act works, who gets covered, what benefits are provided, and even 10 lesser known facts that most professionals overlook. This video was your complete starter guide to understanding ESI law in the real world. If you're serious about legal learning and want to turn textbook theory into career building knowledge, subscribe to Lawful Living. This is your go-to space to simplify the law and strengthen your legal future. Next video la meet pannalam. Bye.